I want to have a quick conversation about Section 8 and talk to you guys about why I'm doing this live, okay? Well, the first reason, I just want to jump right into it, okay? You guys might have seen me as Smart Money Bro in a lot of different platforms, Instagram, Facebook, wherever it may be, Twitter, you name it. But for the last 22 years or so, I've been buying and managing rental property and managing my own rental property. So, I thought about before getting some property management companies, but I decided against it. And I just been doing it myself for a lot of years. So I put out a YouTube video a few days ago about 6 reasons why I use Section 8 and I like Section 8. And there were 6 reasons why most landlords should be seriously and strongly considering Section 8. And so I put that out and I got a lot of feedback, a lot of DMs and people sending me messages about, well, I've had this tenant on Section 8 and they ripped up this and they ripped up that. And I also did a real quick short about how Section 8 tenants or non-Section 8 tenants will tear up your property just like Section 8 tenants. Because there's kind of a stereotype out there that Section 8 tenants are worse than other tenants. Now, if you had that experience, I can understand it. But in my experience, in 22 years of doing this, I've had some of my absolute worst, filthiest, nastiest, dirtiest, rip up everything in the whole house tenants were people that were not on Section 8. And some of my absolute best tenants that either paid their portion or took very good care of the property, they were on Section 8. So I think there's a stereotype out there about Section 8 tenants. And one thing I want to do in this quick video or this live is to go ahead and kind of dispel that myth, because it's not always true. There are some great Section 8 tenants out there that will take care of your property, that will, if they have a portion they have to pay, they will pay on time. But I kept getting all these messages from those couple of videos I put out. And I said, you know what, let's go live and let's have a conversation. And if you're on a few platforms, you can feel free to, I don't know if you can on Facebook, but you can on the other places where I'm live. In my 22 years, I've had probably 50% of my properties have been on Section 8, and the other 50% have not been on Section 8. So I've had a really big mix of both types of tenants. And, I got to tell you that having your house on Section 8, it doesn't guarantee that it's going to be torn up, just like having your house not on Section 8 can guarantee that you're going to get paid every single time with no problems and the house is going to be in pristine condition, because it's not. People are people, whether they're on Section 8 or not. And I know the theory is, if they're on Section 8, they don't have nothing to lose. But if they're on Section 8, they really do have something to lose, because you can't always, and I know you can go from state to state and city to city, but if you're on Section 8, you can lose your Section 8 voucher, or you can lose your ability to get. Now, if you're on Section 8 and you're paying $25 a month for rent, or you're on Section 8 and you're paying $200 for rent when the rest of the world is paying $1,000 and $1,200 and $1,500, you're probably going to do your best to take care of that property. Now, listen, when people tear up the property and they happen to be on Section 8, Section 8 is the easy scapegoat for a landlord to say, because every time you hear somebody talk about a house getting torn up from a Section 8, a person that's on Section 8 or somebody that's in the Section 8 program, people lead with, I had a Section 8 tenant, right? They always lead with the tenant was a Section 8 tenant, as if that's how you define the tenant when they tear it up. But, I've had, like I said before, non-Section 8 tenants rip the property up just as bad. And so I said, let's do a video. Let me jump into this video real quick, because I think there's some reasons why a lot of us do have some bad luck with Section 8 tenants. And I want to talk about a couple of those reasons, because I've ran into a lot of landlords and we always have this discussion. And every landlord I have the discussion with about Section 8 tenants, not every, but most, they always lead with, I had a Section 8 tenant. Well, here's a couple of reasons why I think that happens to people who rent to Section 8 tenants. And that's why I titled this video, Don't Be Soft or Don't Get Soft with Section 8 Tenants. I think what happens to a lot of us landlords or property managers or property owners when we rent out Section 8, two things happen, in my opinion. I think one, we let our guard down because we feel sorry, or we have a little sympathy, or we have a little empathy. And so we end up kind of letting our guard down because, we get a little lackadaisical when we put a Section 8 tenant in the property. And two, I think the reason we get lackadaisical when we put a Section 8 tenant in the property is because we think, kind of in the back of our mind, subconsciously, we think, oh, they must be okay. They're on Section 8 already. So the Section 8 program must have done all the vetting of the tenant. The tenant must be okay. They must have paid their bills on time. They must take care of the property, or else they wouldn't be on Section 8. So we kind of let our guards down as landlords and just say, okay, Section 8 has already done their checks and their background checks and their due diligence. So me as a landlord, all I got to do is find a Section 8 tenant and put them in the house. That right there is where you go wrong as a Section 8 landlord, okay? And you go wrong because what happens is you end up saying, I can just chill. Section 8 administration downtown, who we know, I've dealt with Section 8 a lot. We know sometimes they can be hard to deal with in a lot of cities. But we think, okay, they must be cool. They're on Section 8. Everything's good. Don't do it like that. So we end up not screening the tenants that are on Section 8, as well as we screen the tenants who are not on Section 8. So we say, okay, if the person's not on Section 8, we go through we usually have a whole bunch of stuff we do and go through. But if they're on Section 8, we just kind of back up and say, okay, they did their thing. Don't do that as a landlord. If you are thinking about buying property, or if you already have property, and maybe you had a problem with a Section 8 tenant one time, or a tenant that was on Section 8, don't let that sway you. It's the same concept as, if you walk into one Black-owned store, you don't all of a sudden change your opinion of Black-owned stores because of one store that treated you bad or made you not feel like the type of customer you want to feel like. You don't treat all of them the same way because you had one Section 8 tenant who tore up the property, right? If I did it like that, then I would be looking at the same way with the non-Section 8 tenants that tore up the property. But here's the deal. Here's how you can kind of change some of your luck if you decide to do Section 8 again. Don't treat them like they're any different. When you have a person that's on Section 8 and wants to move into one of your properties, you still have to go out and do your background checks. You still have to do, if you normally do criminal background checks and credit background checks, whatever, do all that stuff like normal. Don't get soft and don't get weak as a landlord, as a property manager, because you have somebody on Section 8. Go ahead and treat. The other thing is this. They're people that get Section 8 or need Section 8 vouchers. They are human beings. They are regular, normal, everyday, average people. They just need a little bit of help with their housing. It don't mean that they need to be handled with kid gloves like, they have, listen, they are regular, normal, everyday, average people. Treat them as such. Don't treat them like they are less than. Don't treat them like they are incompetent. Don't treat them like they have problems and and you have to kind of come and don't baby them. Treat them like people, and they want you to treat them like regular people because they are regular people. But the problem comes in when we say, okay, we're going to screen them, but we're not going to really scrutinize them. No, I'm telling you, forget that. Scrutinize them, okay? Do your background checks on them the same way you treat everybody else because they want that and they deserve that. And you as a landlord or property owner, you should be doing that because you're protecting your investment, right? You're saying, hey, I'm going to move you in just because you're on Section 8 doesn't mean I'm not going to go through all the background checks and everything that I have to do. Still do the things like, call their current landlord. Call their previous landlords and see what type of tenant they are. I'm not talking about just one landlord. I'm talking about if they've been on Section 8 program for 5 years, then they got a landlord. And if they don't know the landlord's number and name, maybe you can go down to the Section 8 office. Now, I don't know if you can do that or not, but perhaps you can. But the point is check with their landlords. Ask about income. And some people that are on Section 8, they have an income. They have a job. Some of them have a job. Some of them have previous jobs. Ask those questions like you would if they was not on Section 8. Drive by their current property, right? This is a little technique that some people like and don't like. They say it's not right. But look, if they live in an apartment, I get it. You can't really make a decision about how somebody's living if they live in an apartment, right? Because everybody shares that space. But if they live in a single family home right now, before they move into your place, and it's near you, just drive down the street. Like I said before, if there's, like I said on another video, if there's cars in the yard and there's trash all over the front yard of the house where they currently stay, there's probably going to be trash all over the front yard of your house when they move into your property. So do that. Do all your due diligence. Check with Section 8 about have they had any complaints. Has anybody had any issues or problems or complaints or from the last landlord? Make the tenant. Here's the bottom line. The bottom line is this: hold the tenant accountable and hold the tenant that's on Section 8 responsible, because they want to be held responsible. They don't want to be treated like, they're somebody different. They want to be treated like respected, like a normal person. And so you as a landlord, respect them like a normal person. Right? Section 8 people are people too. They're humans. They're not children. They're not to be babied. They deserve to be held accountable and screened like other people. So I just want to come on here and have that quick conversation, because I got a lot of people that said, hey, I had this really big problem with this Section 8 tenant, and they tore up this and they tore up that. Well, I got news for you. People that aren't on Section 8 tear up stuff and rip up stuff just like people on Section 8. You might have had a bad experience with that person on Section 8, but don't let that taint you from all Section 8 tenants. I've had 2 or 3 Section 8 tenants over the years who have actually gone on to be homeowners and have gone on to own their own home, right? They just needed a little bit of help in the meantime, financially in terms of housing. And you're going to see that a lot nowadays. If you're a landlord, you're going to see a lot of people, because housing is so crazy, right? The house that used to be $600 a month for the 2-bedroom now is $1,000 a month for the 2-bedroom. And the people aren't making money to keep up with that. So you're going to be seeing more people on Section 8. If you are a landlord, I suggest you use Section 8, because there's a lot of landlords that don't use it. It means that you are in demand, especially if you're a good landlord. You take care of your property, you take care of your tenants, you fix things, you take care of maintenance, and you hold tenants accountable and they hold you accountable. You're a good landlord. As a good landlord or good property manager, good property owner, you are in demand. And so you need to think about that. I just want to come on here and have that quick conversation, guys. It wasn't going to be a long live, but just enough to say, hold them accountable. Don't baby them. They're not babies, right? Make sure they're held responsible and do all of your background checks just like you would for a non-Section 8 tenant. All right. With that said, guys, I'm out of here. Feel free to drop a comment below. I will answer it as always. Holler at you guys later. Peace.